Live. See how this works. First time.
Hey there, KC.
Hey, Coach. All right. Looks like we are live. We are, in fact, live. So welcome back from your trip to Atlanta. I know that we caught up a little bit yesterday. The team hasn't been able to hear your engaging story, your trip. Heard all about the details of you being in Atlanta for a live race and being able to hang out with your family and your two sisters, especially, who it was their first time doing a timed event. Bernardo was out there, flew out there. And so break it down, man. Tell us about your experience and tell our audience about your experience.
Thanks for the opportunity. Great seeing you, KC. And man, so much has happened since the last time we had a chance to talk in this format. Man, I'm still on cloud nine. I am still floating and my heart is full. And just to have the fortunate ability to participate in a live event when so many people have not been able to
you're fine.
do that. And I was, and with my family, my siblings, Bernardo, Brina, Bishana, and my niece Bailey all got a chance to race this past weekend in Atlanta at the Atlanta Speedway in Hampton, Georgia, about 45 minutes on the outskirts of Atlanta. Good weather, and man, the siblings went from couch to half marathon in just about 2 months. Now, who does that? That is very rare. And as a coach, I wouldn't recommend that, but they wanted it. They had a training plan put in front of them. They put in the work. They got race day ready, and they all finished. My niece finished her very first 5K, was fortunate enough to pace her on Saturday, which was a blast. We can start. You got a bit of a preview.
Yeah.
So a couple things we're going to learn right now, RaceMob audience. What is a even split? What is a negative split? And definitely what is a positive split? So love my niece Bailey. Just super bright, fantastic student. And she's like, hey, she was training with my sister, her mother, and probably wasn't ready for the full half marathon, but certainly felt she was game ready for the 5K. So what did that mean? We line up in the starting corral, socially distanced, and we talked about, let's start out conservative, let's go a little slow, and then we'll progressively get faster. Sounded good in the beginning, but as soon as that gun went off, she was like, pew, pew, pew. She was on it. And I was having to really, get after it with the GoPro in hand, and my water bottle, and trying to chase her down. It's like, hey, we're doing this together. You're not gonna beat big uncle. So I eventually caught up with her right before the 1 mile mark, and I glanced at my watch. I'm like, oh man, there are parts we're running sub 9-minute pace, and I'm thinking, I've seen most of those training splits. I didn't see much of that pace that she was maintaining during training. So I figured, okay, let's wait. And she love her. Great job, Bailey. Great job. But everybody, start off a little slower, because when your heart rate gets up, it's very tough in the beginning to pull it back. And at around about 1.2, 1.3 mile mark is when I asked her the question, how are you doing? And it took her a while to answer because she was trying to gather her breath, which happens to the best of us. We have all been there. And, she was, she wanted to run under 40 minutes. And she said, Uncle, I think I want to run under 35 minutes. And we were definitely on pace to do that. And when it was all said and done, I think we came in around 33 minutes and change, which is great for a very first race. But she knows that she could have maybe felt better from start to finish by being a little bit more conservative on the start and pacing herself throughout the entire way. So transitioning to race day on Sunday with Brina, Bishana, and Bernardo, the anticipation, making her way into the starting corrals. And again, perfect weather, good vibe, the announcer, music. And again, like, man, this is really surreal. This is about to go down. 4 siblings running in a half marathon, 2 of them for the very first time.
Wow.
And when the gun went off, we were all together there for the first 100 yards, first half mile, first mile and a half, first 2 miles. And then got to be a little bit of separation. The twins were on it, and then my brother just started to feel some discomfort in his shins. So we pulled back and they proceeded on. And we thought there was probably a point that we might be able to catch them, but the discomfort and tension that my brother was feeling in his shins persisted to the point where he considered maybe not being able to actually finish. So there was a kind of a crossroads as we were coming back towards the starting area around the 5K mark for he and I. And I was in contact with my sister-in-law, and he was contemplating maybe having to pull out of the race. So I wanted to give him that time to make that decision. And as he moved forward, it was either straight, which means he was going to probably step off the course, or take that right turn and keep moving forward. And he made that right turn. So I knew right there that we were just looking at, just getting to mile 4 and from 4 getting to 5 and 5 getting to 6. And, he told me on multiple occasions, hey, bro, why don't you run ahead, catch up with our sisters? I want you to be part of their journey. And I knew where he was coming from, but, they were together and he and I were together, and we all finished within 30 minutes of each other. I think the sisters came in around 2:42 for their very first half marathon, which is very, very respectable.
Wow. Yeah.
And we came in just under the cutoff at 3:15. So we got a chance to enjoy the course a little longer. We saw Coach Tess out there, and shout out to our fellow RaceMob and Too Legit teammate Nicole, who ran the full marathon, coming off a 300-mile Taji 100 month, nursing some hamstring tightness over the last month plus, and finished in 3 hours and 43 minutes. BQ. Wow. So she qualified for Boston, coming off of a 300-mile month. So couldn't be prouder of her, couldn't be prouder of my siblings, could not be prouder of my niece Bailey. Great food. Ate
that's what I was about to ask. Yeah. That's the real question. Did you eat well? Did you eat well when you were out there?
Very easy to do in the South, easy to do in the greater Atlanta area. Ate very well. So, and friendly race officials. This Southern hospitality was, fantastic from start to finish. From the time I arrived in town to the time I left, on when did I get back? Monday, late evening. So, but fantastic experience. It's hard to believe that it went from a conversation, throwing it out there with the siblings, to them saying, yeah, let's do it. And here we are on Wednesday, still on cloud 9. So
that's incredible. Well, talk to us a little bit about just the setup for the race. It sounded like you could still chat with other people, talk with other people, and that sort of thing. So did you feel, how was it put together? Was it super spread out, or was there still like this community that we, like to foster on race day? How were things from that perspective?
Good question. One, staggered start. So, and we saw that level of organization on Saturday with the whole bib pickup. They had enough lines so there weren't people grouping. There was a mandatory temperature check. There was a mandatory safety waiver. And they had people assemble at the swag pack up pickup in waves. So there wasn't large groups, and that venue is very, very, very spread out. Again, with the starting corrals for Saturday and Sunday, staggered start. So you may have, I think it was probably upwards of 40 people in a corral and a B corral. So a total of 80. And then there's 5-minute increments from this wave goes, 80 people in 2 different corrals, next 5 minutes apart. So staggered and the course itself was spread out enough where you never really felt too shoulder to shoulder. So, and yes, you could with people within your corral or people who maybe started a corral ahead that were running a little slower, you could still give people shout outs. There were some people who wore their face coverings from start to finish. The race officials wanted people while you were in the corrals to wear face masks or gaiters. And then once you're out of that area, you could take down. And once you're coming back into the finish, and when you've passed the finish line, to mask back up again. So, and at no point did I feel like self-conscious, looking around and feeling, anxiety. I felt safe. I felt that the race organizers had done their part in, telling people, if you didn't feel well, if you've been exposed, and just don't participate. The level of the temperature checks at the time of picking up your packet and the time of going into corrals was sufficient. And the way the start waves were managed, that you didn't feel, even at the aid stations, they were self-service. So they had water with, water bottles or Powerade, just grab and go, or you had your own container. So, I felt that the Atlanta Track Club did a really good job in pulling off one of the very few big city marathons and half marathons in the United States, especially this early in the year, when a lot of races are pushing back to later in the year. They seem to have it dialed in, and the greater Atlanta area is where the CDC is based as well. So I felt comfortable.
I mean, that's fantastic. And I think sometimes you forget how far, people are from each other in a course like that. When you're actually racing, there are miles and miles and miles of course. And so, depending on how many people are actually participating and actually at the event, you are a good amount of distance from everyone. And if they're doing their due diligence and temperature checks and, all the other stuff, you are far less likely to contract it, especially in an outdoor event with so much ventilation, if the sun is actually out and, all of those things. So, I think it's
and a little different from the event that I'll be a part of this coming Saturday. I'll be a part of the officiating crew of a Division I track and field event at University of Cal Berkeley.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'll be. I just got that word in the last 24 hours. So I'll be out Saturday morning. It's a dual meet with Cal Berkeley and another college, and they'll be, we'll see how that works out. I'm getting my first vaccine shot on Friday.
So, really? Awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yep. Thank you. So,
fantastic. Well, there's light at the end of the tunnel. There definitely is. And, I just talked to Yvonne just via email the other day, one of our January challenge participants, and she just got her first shot of vaccine not too long ago. I think educator. So I think there are a number of educators within the RaceMob community that hopefully relatively soon will be getting their first shots of their vaccines.
Victoria got hers recently. Another one of our January participants, Barbara. I got her shot today at Levi Stadium. Yeah. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. So light at the end of the tunnel. I think, hopefully here in the next couple of months, we'll be able to see each other, hang out with each other. Life will go at least back to some semblance of normalcy, which would be fantastic. Yeah.
We're seeing that some high school sports are going to be starting up here as well. Contact sports. I think now we're at red tier here in the Bay Area, and maybe trending down to orange here shortly. And there was in-person dining, in Georgia was, allowed. That probably, I don't know, with red, that might be the case. I know that one of our podcast guests, Rebecca Hernandez, was teaching inside of a gym, group exercise classes this morning at 6:15. Wow. So she got that notification late and adjusted her schedule and taught the class. I saw some pictures of hers on social media. So things are changing and headed in the right direction. So like I said, to see light at the end of the tunnel. You saw the Biden administration announcement that all adults in the United States, hopefully by May, will have the opportunity, or there will be enough vaccinations to accommodate the entire adult population, which is a good thing. And we know there's a certain part of our community that would prefer not to, and that's their choice. All we ask is just mask up and do your part, So
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And I know that you also got the opportunity to chat with the RunPod duo. How did that conversation go? How are our friends Tommy and India doing?
I'm the bond and the chemistry you and I have on there. We're just having a good time, and from the first point that I popped on screen to when I said goodbye, it was we had a blast. So that episode airs tomorrow. Shout out to India and to Tommy. Thank you for hosting. Sorry I didn't get a chance to see them in person. When I was in Atlanta, they ran also the half marathon. They had a later wave, and but I was very fortunate to see another one of our podcast guests, and Coach Tess. Saw her twice on the course, once at mile 9, and then at the end when we're walking off the venue. She was leaving and she got a chance to spend like 10 to 15 minutes with my family and meet everybody and congratulate my sisters as they beat their brothers in the half marathon. So shout out to the ladies. Great job. And always good seeing Coach Tess, who's due in May with her first child, is going to be a baby girl. So
wow, that's incredible. That's incredible. Yeah, and I know that we want to invite India onto our podcast at some point in time. There's going to be some collaborations. I mean, she just has such a fantastic channel. I don't know. And do you know when your podcast with them is dropping? Did that drop
tomorrow?
Recently?
Tomorrow.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. And people are going to have a lot of podcast topics to listen to because we recently had Nando on our podcast. I mean, fantastic episode. I think quickly shot up to one of the most downloaded episodes that we've had in the first couple of days. So people really resonated with his story, especially at the end of Taji. The incredible 100-milers and just what he's done for the whole Taji community as well. And we've got a really interesting podcast episode tomorrow. I've been doing some of the editing behind the scenes with Strength Running Podcast founder and host Jason Fitzgerald. So a lot of great and fantastic nuggets from that conversation. Can't wait for all of you guys to hear that fun conversation. Yeah,
Casey, for our listeners who maybe have not heard of Coach Fitzgerald, not Matt Fitzgerald, Jason Fitzgerald, maybe give them a little bit of he's very popular, and maybe where some of his podcasts and live content is ranking nationally.
Yeah. So consistently ranked probably either the number 1 or number 2 running podcast in the US. So one of the top running podcasters out there. He's been doing the podcast since 2016, but he's been coaching since 2010, 2009, and competing at a very, very high level since the late 1990s. So definitely somebody with a wealth of knowledge, a lot of information, and we just were able to get a lot of great nuggets from that conversation. I think, the two of us just went into it with an open mind and, just trying to understand how he would coach different types of athletes. And, basically the conversation, as you guys will listen to and hear, it does come back down to the fundamentals, right? So much of it, it's not like all of us need to go chase the new wave of everything that's happening. If you go back to the fundamentals, if you run more miles throughout the week, if you have a structured plan that allows you to sometimes go to failure, sometimes push your limits a little bit during some of your workouts, and you incorporate the strength training, the strength workouts, those types of things into your plan to prevent injury. Those were the things that he just kept saying were, they were the fundamentals to a good training plan and training program. And he's written thousands of training plans. He's coached tens of thousands of athletes. So I think we got a lot of information. And it's not rocket science, it's things that we've already been talking about. The part that you can't account for is the accountability piece. Even when you put that structured training and that plan in front of somebody, how do you hold somebody accountable? How do you make sure that they're motivated? Which is something that I think you're fantastic at, Coach.
Thank you.
Especially with all of your athletes. How do you stay on top of the training plans and make sure that people are, keeping with it? So, wonderful conversation. And I think, just the beginning of a great partnership and friendship going forward as well.
Yeah. Well said. I agree wholeheartedly. Having a plan following the plan, communicating what the goals are. So the plan is based off of reachable goals and the importance of rest days, as much as it's putting in the work, but also allowing the body to recover and gear up for the next workout. And as you hit the nail right on the head, strength training, being able to mix in some level of strength training is a game changer. And it's not not rocket science. It's straightforward. And then from a motivational perspective, we've talked about on multiple occasions, is what is your motivation? What is your why? Why are you doing it? Is it how personal is it to you? What is going to get you up on those early mornings or those long days after work and putting in the work? And it's not always an easy answer, but the answer comes from within. A coach can help hold accountable, can help sharpen the vision, can put the roadmap in front of you, but the athlete ultimately has to find that will and determination and the want to, and the get after desire, and then envision themselves on race day, running, crossing the finish line at whatever distance, or chasing that personal milestone. That is really the secret sauce that I think everybody's trying to find them. When we, have our athletes fill out the RaceMob quiz and sharing what their goals are, the common denominator, people are looking for like motivation and a level of accountability, and whatever we can do to help them with that. And sometimes just looking in the mirror and asking, what is my motivation? So
Yeah. But I do think one of the things that we're looking into doing is potentially gamification, potentially accountability teams, teamwork, some of that stuff over the next couple of months. So, if you guys out there have ideas on how we can do that, we welcome any ideas that you guys have. We recently had, and one of our upcoming podcasts episodes, maybe I'll tease it right here, was with Endorphin Dude. And that guy, I mean, you talk about gamifying, right? I mean, what was he talking about?
Whole nother level, man. Yeah, whole nother level. Where the mind is so powerful in able to visualize in the midst of a race where you are with. He said, "Hey, I'm in the game." Almost like the Pac-Man analogy, as you're going and getting little power balls and rejuvenating it and thinking in that aspect, especially in longer distance where you can lose your focus when the miles start to pile up and the mind starts to wander. But if you're able to have just a different outlook, it can be the difference in being able to finish or not, or keep you on top of your game. And that's good. That's a great podcast.
I mean, I probably had some of the most fun I've ever had in a conversation. He is just hilarious, and I know that we mentioned him in our very first podcast episode ever. Just the inspiration that he was to me in my early days of running. But dude is hilarious, man. I mean, he's
crushing right now. He's crushing. He's peaking his training, and he's well, we don't want to give too much away. We want you to tune in when that episode drops. But, Endorphin Dude podcast crushes, absolutely crushes. So
want to give a quick shout out to Jaime. Jaime is out here chatting. Says Kevin with the fresh cut. Yeah, finally got a haircut. I mean, I let it grow out a little bit longer. So shout out to Jaime. I know Jaime just recently got some running pods. He was just chatting about them on his Instagram, had a story recently, bought a house recently, in the midst of buying a house recently. So, I mean, shout out to Jaime. Still on track for that Ironman, is that right?
Yes, in the fall. Training on it, mixing up the workout routine weekly, getting on the bike as well. Certainly having good rest days, but getting after it. And he's one where, we put a plan in front of him. This kid just knocks it out. I mean, he's very, very consistent that way, sticks to the plan. And every now and then we'll say, hey, coach, I think I want to run a 50 miler. Hey, coach, I think I want to run a half Ironman. Just we'll kind of throw those up. And hey, coach, they're within a month of each other. What do you think? Like, all right. You have the will, you put in the work, so let's go after it. And so many great things in store for him for the balance of 2021. He's also expressed that he would like to pay it forward and,
that's awesome.
Consider coaching in the future as well.
Well, I mean, we welcome the opportunity to, I mean, obviously super talented, as well as passionate, as well as knowledgeable. So yes, absolutely, we will get him involved. As we talked about before, accountability groups, teams, that sort of thing. Can we have people like Jaime who's ultra motivated, ultra capable, help motivate other people? And yes, he says thank you, prayer hands. So yes, absolutely, absolutely. Want to get into new members of the month. So let me figure out if I can figure that out here, since kind of new tool that we're using these days. Okay, so does that work? Yep. Oops. Haha, maybe not. Okay, sorry. Present. That's what I'm trying to do. Okay, so new members. We have, I think, close to 50 new members again this week. So,
Wow.
a lot
That's
of people
great.
signing up, a lot of people searching for races again. Which we are seeing an uptick in volume across the site for people searching for new races. And again, behind the scenes, we are working on that RaceMob 2.0. A lot of work behind the scenes on new database structure, new everything. There's going to be a brand new front end. So keep an eye out for that over the next couple of months. And we're going to need help from you guys to help us keep that race directory up and running, and get all of your feedback. So a lot of new members across the site, and reach out to us, new members. If you want some help in your training, we are available to you. And we've got some birthdays. You want to give a couple shout outs, Coach, for birthdays?
Yes. Paul Fukuma, the chairman of Taji 100, coming off the most successful Taji 100 in its history. Nearly 8,000 plus participants. Will probably end up giving a check to the parent charity team RWB close to six figures. This in 2020, wow. We gave a check of nearly $75,000. So considering so many virtual races, it's really the mission that is so profound that has really resonated with the participants. And we're looking forward to 2022 already. Wow. Starting to do some behind the scenes planning. Will be a kind of a summary email coming out very shortly. Wrap up, and we'll share what that proceeds number is going to be at some point as well. So thank you everyone who participated. Russell Hall, good friend of the Too Legit Fitness family, new father for the third time recently, and Coach Earl Hooks, Ninja Warrior bound Earl Hooks, birthday I believe on Friday the 5th. So happy birthday, everybody.
Incredible. Well, I mean, give it a little background on Coach Earl Hooks. I know that he's somebody that we do want on the podcast at some point here in the future. I know that he has an incredible story, especially with his Boys in the Hood program. So give our audience a quick rundown on Earl.
Yeah, Earl and his wife Carrie doing fantastic work here in the South Bay. They've had a boot camp for upwards, I believe, going on close to a decade as well, in the Rose Garden area, family focused. And Earl has been very public with his navigating sobriety. I think 8 years strong right now. Wow. And is taken a concerted effort in helping mentoring youth, specifically boys, and getting them in touch with nature, always paying it forward. And now for the third time, been selected for American Ninja Warrior, participating later this year. I don't know exactly when, but they're just doing so much good work. And when you have the opportunity to look at Hooked on Fitness or Boys in the Woods, great work by Earl and Carrie, his wife.
Incredible. Yeah. And dude has like a 12 pack, man. It's like not a 6-pack. Sure. I mean, you're talking about
work ethic is incredibly consistent. I mean, relentless, every single day. I think his run streak goes back to 2018. Wow. So inspired by Joyce Lee and John Hansen. Joyce, one of our previous podcast guest. They're good friends, and Earl's a yogi as well, very into yoga and meditation. So good things to come from him and the Hooked on Fitness crew.
Incredible. All right. Well, I mean, with that, just want to say thank you all for tuning in. We will have a slightly more traditional Race Mob Weekly next week. We'll have some more of the videos, some more of the photos that you've captured from your Atlanta race available then, and we'll put that together next week. But I think we do like this live stream format, so we'll work this live stream format in a little bit more. It was good having some interaction with you guys in the audience, so we will try to give you guys some advanced notice, not so last minute, like 5 minutes beforehand we pop it up, but we'll try to give you guys some advanced notice when we're going to be doing these things. And again, we're looking for more teamwork, some more accountability, some more gamification, some more things happening down the line, some more potentially Zoom parties and other stuff, just to get people more involved and to get to meet each other and help each other stay on track with our goals. So with that, just want to say thank you all for tuning in, and we will catch you guys again next week.